laying the groundwork. They continue to make major moves. Now the talks are Kelsey Plum is on the trade block. They're looking to move off of Kelsey Plum. She's only under contract for this season. They are so bad to the point where she might not want to come back, and they don't want to just lose her for nothing. They could be gaining assets through trading Kelsey Plum that could help them.
The WNBA was supposed to be celebrating the greatest moment in its history. The 2026 All-Star Weekend in Chicago was promoted as the league's biggest, most profitable, and most globally anticipated event ever. Arena doors were reportedly surrounded by sold-out signs months ahead of time. Ticket prices on secondary markets were soaring, and major television networks were counting on record-breaking audiences. Everything was supposed to be a flawless showcase of the league's explosive growth. Instead, the WNBA is now facing a crisis that nobody saw coming. The league's image is taking a massive hit. Sponsors are reportedly reconsidering their investments, and the entire basketball world is watching the chaos unfold. So, how did the biggest weekend in women's basketball suddenly turn into a public relations nightmare? The answer begins with what many fans saw as one of the most arrogant and completely disconnected decisions the league could have made. In what appeared to be an attempt to satisfy a small group of powerful veteran voices, league officials allegedly tried to place strict limitations on Caitlin Clark during the main event, believing they could control the biggest star in the sport. But they badly miscalculated. Caitlin Clark didn't simply complain in a press conference, and she didn't quietly accept what many viewed as disrespect. Instead, she reportedly drew a line that shook the entire league and made a decision nobody expected. She stepped away from the All-Star Weekend spotlight. The league's biggest attraction was suddenly no longer playing along, and the financial consequences could be enormous. So get ready, because the hidden ultimatum behind this explosive controversy may reveal exactly how the WNBA created a crisis it never expected to face.
Dang, the LA Sparks are going to end up getting Caitlin Clark. He wasn't pulling it out of thin air, and you see them making moves as we speak. You saw them go and sign Kate Martin. Now, take a look at this. Head coach Lynn Roberts is going to get fired. I'm just putting it out there. I'm letting y'all know now. I know she's going to get fired. She knows she's going to get fired. Kelsey Plum's about to get traded. It's a bunch going down. Take a look here. This is Lynn Roberts. They asked her about her job security, being that the GM just got fired. You're going to want to stick around. I got a bunch in this one. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think we underachieved last year, and this year's still going. We tripled our wins last year from the year before. I think, for where we want to get, that's not where we want to be, but, tripling wins from one year to the next in my first year, I don't think that's underachieving. This year, we have not hit our stride. We've played one game with everybody on our roster healthy. We've been injured all year. Hopefully we can get KP and Cam back, or hold systems designed.
According to sources reportedly familiar with the situation, Caitlin Clark didn't simply return to the conversation. She forced the entire situation to a breaking point. And in a matter of moments, what many are calling one of the most dramatic protests in modern sports was set in motion. Clark allegedly shut down communication with the organization, left the facility, and refused to board the team's charter flight to Chicago. She reportedly skipped the scheduled media obligations, stayed away from the heavily promoted red carpet event, and ultimately removed herself from the All-Star roster. Her message was direct and impossible to ignore: remove the playing time restriction and allow her to compete freely, or prepare to watch the league's biggest showcase lose its biggest showcase. At first, WNBA officials reportedly believed she was making an empty threat. They assumed the pressure of national coverage, public attention, and the approaching event would eventually force her to reconsider. But as the countdown continued and Clark remained nowhere near Chicago, the reality became impossible to dismiss. She was serious. The league's biggest star had allegedly launched a one-person stand against the establishment, and the immediate financial and public relations consequences were beginning to look far more serious than anyone inside the league had expected.
Not even close to thinking that we are underachieving at all.
Now, she knows her job is on the line. She's about to get fired. The LA Sparks are 10-12. They're not going to make the playoffs again under her. She knows she's on the way out. Take a look at this. Sparks coach shuts down brutal season. And this is the key part where she tried to say, we're one game out of the playoffs. It says that's the goal, the plan. We'll get healthy. I'm not buying into the narrative that we're having some brutal season. This is a process. We've had adversity. Lynn Roberts is going to get fired, you guys. I'm letting that be known right now. And they are looking to move Kelsey Plum. You got all the fans already blasting Lynn Roberts. Now, I'm telling you the moves that they are continuing to make. Take a look at this here. The LA Sparks practice facility in El Segundo construction update. State-of-the-art facility expected to open in 2027. So they're going to have a brand new facility here in Los Angeles. And this is going to be big because Caitlin Clark is going to have, she's coming from a brand new state-of-the-art facility in Indiana that they built. She's also going to be in one when she eventually gets to LA if this thing goes down. Now, that is another move that they're making. New facilities. They're going to get a new coach, a new GM. They're going to bring in a whole new infrastructure around this deal. I'm telling you, man, they
To understand how this financial nightmare spiraled out of control, you have to look beyond the headlines and into the intense politics allegedly unfolding behind closed doors. For months, tension had reportedly been building between Caitlin Clark's unstoppable rise and the league's traditional power structure. Veteran players and longtime executives were allegedly uncomfortable with the reality that Clark had become the biggest attraction in women's basketball, with fans spending enormous amounts of money specifically to watch her perform, while established stars struggled to receive the same level of attention. Instead of fully embracing the unprecedented attention and revenue she was helping generate, critics claim certain league insiders began searching for ways to control her influence. Then, just 48 hours before the All-Star tip-off, a private meeting was allegedly held involving league officials and the Indiana Fever organization, with the reported message being impossible to misunderstand. Clark's role during the event needed to be significantly reduced. A strict playing time plan was reportedly prepared, limiting her appearances to only a small portion of the opening and third quarters. Publicly, the decision could be presented as careful workload management and a move designed to protect her long-term health. But critics saw something completely different. They believed the plan was designed to keep the league's biggest attraction on the bench while allowing other players to dominate the spotlight. The league wanted Clark's name, popularity, and star power to help fill the arena and drive attention, yet allegedly wanted to limit the very performance that created that demand in the first place. Officials reportedly expected Clark to enter a private meeting, accept the decision, respect the traditional hierarchy, and quietly follow the plan. They allegedly placed the proposed restrictions in front of her, expecting a compliant response. But they made one enormous mistake. They underestimated the determination of a generational superstar who had already changed the entire business of women's basketball.
It would make sense to at least hear what other teams are saying. The answer is still ultimately no.
What team would go to get Kelsey Plum right now and they could just wait?
Indiana could make the move. Well, Indiana might not make the move, but a winning team could make the move. A Golden State Valkyries could use a Kelsey Plum. You get a bunch of picks and young assets from the Valkyries, and then you use those picks and assets to go and get Caitlin Clark.
Because like initially, I think quick shout out to Hunter Cruz, who did like a trade piece not too long ago, mentioned the Golden State Valkyries as a Kelsey Plum team. And I was like, you know what? Would be a fascinating fit. You just need like a pure, we need an actual number one scoring option. It's like, you know what? That would make some sense.
I like the idea of Kelsey Plum. I like the idea of Kelsey Plum and the Golden State Valkyries. If I'm the Golden State Valkyries, we are the 3 seed, 1 game out of the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
We can deal with that later.
I mean, look, the talks are heating up. Kelsey Plum, you're either going to lose her in the offseason for nothing, or you can get something, you can get assets for her now. I don't see.
The controversy surrounding the alleged playing time restrictions sent the internet into complete chaos. Furious fans who had saved for months and spent thousands of dollars on premium courtside seats reportedly began demanding refunds, arguing that the event they paid to see had suddenly lost its biggest attraction. Within a short period of time, the secondary ticket market was reportedly thrown into turmoil, with high-end VIP passes losing significant value as uncertainty surrounding Clark's participation spread across the sports world. Television executives who had built major summer programming plans around the enormous audience Caitlin Clark could attract were allegedly furious with league officials, with reports of serious pressure being placed on WNBA leadership over the potential financial consequences. The situation threatened to cost millions of dollars in lost revenue, canceled promotions, and damaged business partnerships. Major global sponsors that had invested heavily in the Caitlin Clark effect were also reportedly reconsidering their involvement, questioning why they should continue paying premium rates for an event where the league's biggest draw could be limited to a minor role. In their view, the entire business model behind the showcase depended on one simple promise. Fans wanted to see Caitlin Clark play, and if that promise disappeared, the financial foundation of the event could begin collapsing almost instantly.
Just rough decision-making process from the Dominique Malunga trade for Kelsey Plum, giving up Sarah Ashley Barker, trading Rakia Jackson for Ariel Atkins.
Yo, that GM that got fired made some horrible moves. How do you give up Sarah Ashley Barker, who you took in the top 10, who was balling, played well as a rookie? Now she's a starter. She's a starter in Portland. You gave up Rakia Jackson. Granted, she tore her ACL after, but giving up Rakia Jackson for Ariel Atkins, that GM had to go. That's crazy work.
Atkins giving out all of those bad contracts, just down the board, a lot of bad decisions from that front office. So we'll see what the direction is at the deadline. If I had to imagine, this is an ownership decision. If ownership believes that Kelsey Plum is not coming back and they want to pivot from here, they want to move into like more of a rebuild, a retooling period without Kelsey Plum, get younger, get off of these long-term deals, then why not trade her now? 1-year deal, you trade a lot to get her, the number 2 overall pick. So if there's going to be a trade that's going to happen, who could do it? The one team I look at as a serious contender for this is the Golden State Valkyries. Golden State's roster is so well built around not having a number 1 option. They have Debbie Williams, who's a great player, but not your number 1. Veronica Burton, a lot of wings, Cecilia Zandolazini, Janelle Salon. They got the defense too with Kia Stokes at the 5. They have a lot of defense.
As executives reportedly scrambled behind the scenes trying to contain the growing crisis, the reality of the situation finally hit the locker room with full force. The veteran players who had allegedly supported the controversial restriction suddenly faced the consequences of an all-star event without the league's biggest attraction. They had supposedly wanted a showcase where the spotlight could finally remain on them without Caitlin Clark dominating the conversation. But instead, the silence from major media outlets and the anger from fans who had purchased tickets exposed a much bigger truth. The event's attention, energy, and commercial power were far more connected to Clark's presence than many people wanted to admit. The players may have believed they were competing for the spotlight, but their reaction to her absence revealed just how much of that spotlight had been driving the entire show. And suddenly, the decision that was supposed to reduce her influence appeared to have exposed the league's dependence on it.
A friend of mine, and I care about her, and this is the hard part in sports, right? But right now I'm just, focused on the team.
Sense of urgency kind of heightened, or has it already been kind of there already?
Like, what do you mean?
The sense of urgency of like.
I mean, we've had the sense of urgency all season. We've had just peaks and valleys with how we've played and who we've had active and injured and stuff. But I feel like we're playing.
Now, Lynn Roberts, she understands the pressure is on her as a coach because there's no guarantee that you're gonna like make it. There's no guarantee that this ownership group is gonna keep you around. The ownership group may be scouring around for a coach that already has a great relationship with Caitlin Clark. They're gonna be looking to make a partnership. And I think, listen, man, things are happening behind the scenes. I 100% believe things are happening, and there's a chance that this thing could take a turn. Okay, this is courtesy of ESPN. It says the Sparks, they missed the playoffs the last 5 seasons and are currently 10-11, just out of playoff in 9th place. They're coming off consecutive victories, though, having defeated Indiana Wednesday and Chicago on Friday. It says the assistant GMs will take over. Okay. And this.
Without Caitlin Clark on the court, the massive media storm surrounding the event reportedly vanished almost overnight. The cameras lost their biggest story, the viral momentum across social media began fading, and the uncomfortable reality became impossible to ignore. In trying to reduce Clark's influence, critics argued that the league had exposed just how much of its modern attention and commercial energy depended on her presence. The Indiana Fever front office suddenly went from appearing confident and completely in control to facing intense criticism from frustrated fans, concerned business partners, and a growing wave of national backlash. What was supposed to be a carefully managed decision about playing time had allegedly turned into a public relations disaster on one of the league's biggest stages. Instead of controlling the spotlight, the controversy appeared to make Clark's influence even more obvious. And now, the entire basketball world is watching to see whether the NBA can repair the damage, reverse course, and give its biggest star the freedom fans believe she deserves. But regardless of what happens next, one message has already become impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark is not simply another talented player in the WNBA. She's become one of the league's most powerful forces, its biggest attraction, and a central part of the future it is trying to build. This bold and uncompromising stand over controversial playing time restriction has now turned Caitlin Clark into one of the most influential athletes in women's sports. The league may have believed it could control the spotlight, but the controversy only made her power and importance even more impossible to ignore. Now I want to hear exactly what you think about this unbelievable situation. Do you support Caitlin Clark for refusing to participate in an event where she believed she was being unfairly limited? Or do you think she should have appeared, accepted the decision, and played anyway? Drop your honest, unfiltered opinion in the comments below because this debate is far from over. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next major WNBA story, controversy, or breaking update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. The WNBA was supposed to be celebrating the greatest moment in its history. The 2026 All-Star Weekend in Chicago was promoted as the league's biggest, most profitable, and most globally anticipated event ever. Arena doors were reportedly surrounded by sold-out signs months ahead of time. Ticket prices on secondary markets were soaring, and major television networks were counting on record-breaking audiences. Everything was supposed to be a flawless showcase of the league's explosive growth. Instead, the WNBA is now facing a crisis that nobody saw coming. The league's image is taking a massive hit. Sponsors are reportedly reconsidering their investments, and the entire basketball world is watching the chaos unfold. So, how did the biggest weekend in women's basketball suddenly turn into a public relations nightmare? The answer begins with what many fans saw as one of the most arrogant and completely disconnected decisions the league could have made. In what appeared to be an attempt to satisfy a small group of powerful veteran voices, league officials allegedly tried to place strict limitations on Caitlin Clark during the main event, believing they could control the biggest star in the sport. But they badly miscalculated. Caitlin Clark didn't simply complain in a press conference, and she didn't quietly accept what many viewed